Using all of the tools that you've learnt about in this section, you can quite easily start designing your own sounds and editing sounds beyond recognition. And the proper name for this is acousmatic, which means you can't tell where the sound comes from. And this is really good if you're working with electronic music or experimental music or something where you want kind of interesting, strange sounds. Because by pitch shifting, time stretching, or speeding up, and by reversing, we can create some really cool sounds. So first of all, let's have a look in the library for something a bit interesting to start off with. So I decided to go for a kind of wrench sound, a mechanical sound. Let's have a listen. So now let's cut this up a bit and take some cool parts of it. So we've got this kind of, and then there I'm just going to use the marquee, double click. I'm going to trim this. Then let's add a fade here, just to make sure there's no clicks or anything. Cool, let's glue them together so that it's one audio file. So let's see if we can play with the timing of this a bit. So if we turn on flex, and then let's put it on rhythmic. There we go. Now I quite like, I'm going to stretch this part out. Make this quicker. Cool. And then I'm actually going to add a pitch shift, but we'll do this as a plugin. So I'm just going to use the pitch shifter here. And then what we can also do is try reversing it. See if that sounds interesting. So let's go back to normal, make sure this is selected and hit reverse. And then what we can do is maybe add some reverb. And we're going to cover all of this in much more detail later. And a bit of a delay. So now you can see how using these tools, if it was had a pitch and it detected a pitch here, you could just use flex pitch as well to play with that. But using all of these tools, timing, etc., pitch, you can start to really kind of change sounds and make them sound completely different. Let's have a listen. So in experimental music and electronic music, you can spend most of your time playing with sounds, trying to create new sounds. What we could do instead is we could use something that's melodic. Let's just find something nice. So I've just gone for a kind of steel drum. Now we could make the tempo really slow. And turn on flex pitch. And then we can play with the time in a bit as well. Just move that note. And if we go back to flex pitch. So now you can hear how once you start playing with all of this kind of stuff, and then if say I added a pitch shift to the whole thing as well, you can start creating kind of new instruments, new sounds. Let's try it on drums. So you can really play around with all those tools to get some really interesting sounds. It's not just for fixing mistakes and editing in that sense, but it's also for creating new sounds and kind of pushing these tools to their limit to get some really interesting audio effects.